Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Kurt Snyder on the line. He's founder over at Colby Prospect Generation. Kurt, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to get into Insurtech and trends in Insurtech. And, you've been in the business, going on 16 years at least in terms of with Colby Prospect Generation. So I'm excited. You're the guy I want to know about generating leads and what that looks like. But before we get into Insurtech and trends, I want to go a little bit further into Colby Prospect Generation. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, we basically serve enterprise-level insurance carriers as well as the middlemen distribution partners, which are called insurance brokerages or agencies. And in all three of those segments of our business, they are constantly and always looking for a prospect to purchase either their health insurance, Medicare insurance, final expense insurance, long-term care insurance. So in general, it tends to be a little bit of an older cohort seeking different life and health and Medicare protection of their assets. And we know how to find those people online, serve ads to them when they're looking, on our site or other sites. We know how to generate phone calls from them as well. So that's essentially how our business, started 5 years ago. Was a general service, all service agency prior to just doing the pure performance-based lead gen for big insurance carriers.
No, I love it, and that's why. So for that space, in my opinion, you're definitely a pioneer because you've been doing it for a long time, and that's why I wanted you on the show to talk a little bit more about Insurtech and trends. So first off, what kind of led you to go this Insurtech route? Because I see the transition in business.
Yeah, thanks. And I'd be happy to answer that. So we had a very sterling A-list clientele of agencies, brokerages, and carriers, as I said. And I'm kind of old school, and I do a lot of boots on the ground traveling myself, even though I run and operate the company. So I was meeting with these owners and C-level executives and so forth. And I came to realize that a lot of them were very, very behind the times. A lot of legacy systems, a lot of old school direct mail, customer acquisition, distribution of leads out into the field, face-to-face sales reps and so forth. So they were really falling behind the times insofar as what some of the younger startup, more tech-savvy marketing companies were doing. Now, this also took place while at the same time I began going back and forth to India. And in going to India, I was able to formulate a fantastic, dedicated team who actually works 8 p.m. India time to 4 a.m. India time to serve all our U.S. clients. And the insight that I had there in those many trips to India was, wow, all this tech, they all work at night. So many of them are getting paid, almost slave wages in these big, beautiful towers, white collar, but it's pretty much just sweatshops. And I thought to myself, you know what, I can come here and make these people a lot more money. And I know that on my side here in the United States, we have clients that are very afraid of offshoring a lot of their tech, and they don't have the latest and greatest tools and so forth. But with us, the U.S.-based company, they're knowing me and having faith and trust in me in putting together the resources with your needs. That's how it all came to be.
Man, it makes so much sense. And it's not easy. You had to go, you had to do the work, and also you had the relationships. And I love it, though, because all these things kind of progress the industry forward. What kind of trends are you noticing just in Insurtech in general, and just in not just at MarTech, but just in Insurtech in general that you're seeing that are kind of moving the insurance industry forward? And the reason I ask that question is because I feel like the insurance company or the insurance industry in general is just one of those things that have this stigma of being maybe a little bit behind on the technology side still, and a lot of opportunity to move them forward. So that's why I asked you.
No, and a great question. Very, you're right on top of your trends. I think, second only maybe to, banks 10 years ago, the next thing you think of is an insurance company, or maybe real estate mortgages too, when you think of a stack of paper and process and these big campuses. I've been to all of them all over the country. You name it, I've probably been there, of endless seas of cubicles of people pushing paper and process and procedures and protocols, all of which, in theory, or most of which could be and should be automated. It is uncanny to me how far behind I think Insurtech was as compared to fintech. The big Wall Street banks, the trading platforms, I think those are well out ahead. But for whatever reason, and it doesn't really matter what type of insurance product we're talking about, these, behemoth companies, great brands, great names, are so incredibly matrixed and stuck in physical assets and certain processes and legacy systems that they really risk going the way of dinosaurs, because every day there is a new Insurtech startup, and they're well capitalized. The VCs, the angels, the PEs, they're all seeing it. That you can catch up to and clean the clocks, really, of some of these giants. So one of the big trends on the one side, and not the marketing side, is that all this paper, all this process, all this data, all the billing, all the invoicing, all the trading of money back and forth, sloshing around, is finally starting to be automated. I mean, for every one of those processes, for every 300 cubicles, sitting in Hartford, Connecticut, you can probably reduce that down to 10 employees and some algorithms. And you're starting to see it, again, a little bit behind fintech, but catching up quickly. And we're trying to be right at that kind of apex, if you will.
Yeah, when I see it, to me, it's like it's just I just smell opportunity for smart individuals like yourself who have been in the industry for a long time, know the industry, have the relationships, and also are willing to do the work. I just see so much opportunity there, and it's exciting to me because ultimately, who wins? The clients win, the companies win, the employees win because they're not focused on maybe some of the more rudimentary tasks. Now they're doing something a little bit more high level that's engaging them more. I mean, there's more opportunity to move up. I mean, I just really see a lot of wins in the benefits of implementing, technology in the insurance space.
Yeah, no, you put it beautifully. There is so much inefficiency to be carved out and to create, value for any stakeholder, like you say, whether it's the staff, the partners, the employees, the investors, the customer. There's just a lot of money, a lot of cost savings to be translated into real value.
So, Kurt, first off, I can get, once we start getting into Insurtech, I mean, we can go on and on. I know there's a lot more I would like to ask you, but we're about out of time. Final two questions. So, that being said, if somebody's listening to this, so part one, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Colby prospect generation or any of the other work that you're doing, what are the right types of clients that you like working with so that we know that the right people follow up with you after listening to this, number one? And number two, what's the best way for them to follow up?
Yeah, well, thank you. And part A of your question is probably more mid-sized enterprise level, over 100 million, or maybe as low as 50 million in top-line sales is usually where there's some budget or some wherewithal and some foresight to see how they really have to create some cost efficiencies they may not have now. We don't serve the smaller mom and pop agency as much as we really do more this like corporate level client. And then they can get a hold of us at www.colbyinsurtech.com. That's COLBYINSURETECH.com. And all our contact information is found there.
Fantastic. Well, Kurt, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about what you're doing over at Colby Prospect Generation and the work you're doing also in Insurtech. I mean, great stuff there. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. I mean, love to hear what kind of things you're working on and what kind of projects you have going. I mean, love to keep the conversation going over in our YouTube community. And Kurt, thanks again for coming on the show.